Tales of the Caballos by William H. White. Part 4, Chapter 2, Batcave. One of the more prominent features of the western slope of the Caballo Mountains is an enormous hole that opens up like a cornucopia, or more like the flare of a trumpet. Batcave is situated on the southern vertical limestone face of Cable Canyon and is easily seen when driving northbound on I-25 in the early afternoon. Both Doc Noss and Mrs. Perez spent a lot of time and energy here in the days gone by. Both claimed that there was an easy access into the mountain somewhere around Batcave. This is what brought us to the cave. Ralph Wallach, Louis Jameson, and I all agreed that we should try our new ground-penetrating radar on the cave floor in hopes of finding a concealed entrance into the mountain. The road into Cable Canyon is rough but passable, and soon we were at the road's end looking up into the yawning mouth of Batcave. Nobody realizes how intimidating the mouth of the cave can be when observed from just below. We had set our goals on a trip to Batcave, and that was going to happen regardless of how we felt when first arriving. No one brought up the subject of quitting the hunt. The three of us were carrying substantial loads, and the trail is quite steep up to the mouth of the cavern. We soon fell into a rhythm and were at the final assault within an hour. This was when a moment of truth was at hand. There was 40 feet of vertical limestone before us with no safety ropes. One slip would mean disaster. I was the most experienced rock climber and therefore volunteered to scale the cliff and determine if the cliff was doable for my two companions. I left my backpack and soon discovered an easy route to the entry point. A rope was lowered and I pulled the backpacks up while the other two quickly climbed into the cave. The cave had been excavated in the days gone by. And less than 50 feet into the cave, a vertical shaft dropped down 50 feet or more. This was a hole to be avoided because the fall in there would be as disastrous as a fall down the rock face outside. We set up our equipment and soon went to work on the horizontal floor of Batcave. The floor is covered with guano, so the cave is aptly named. The results were inconclusive, but after 1.5 hours of shooting the radar, a possible entrance location was chosen. Let me stress that there was only an outside chance that the hole existed. We had brought one shovel, which we quickly put to work taking turns as the digging progressed. After 2 feet, it became apparent that we were digging into a previously undisturbed soil. No secret entrance here, just a bunch of compacted rocks, dirt, and bat stuff. It was becoming clear to us that this project was coming to a conclusion. There was nothing here of interest for us, but we were secure in the knowledge that we had given it the old college try, or something like that. We broke for a quick lunch, but no one was willing to bring up the subject that was all on our minds. Getting out of here without tumbling to our deaths was going to be the real challenge. The problem is, the Batcave slopes down to the vertical, and there are no handholds at the moment of descent onto the vertical face. Whether I liked it or not, I was volunteered to ascend first. In case I died trying to get out of this cave, let me say that the view is truly stunning from this vantage point. It is definitely a Kodak moment of moments, and well worth the trouble to get there. I gingerly moved to the vertical face and slowly lowered my legs out over the precipice. I remembered that there were indeed footholds down there if I could only find them. I slowly began sliding down the slope while frantically groping for anything like a hand or foothold. There was no point in complaining now. When I accepted the role as the most experienced climber, I inherited the role of being the first off the mountain. As I have said many times, a coward dies 1,000 deaths, and this was no time to waver. The reader has probably guessed by now that I didn't die, and actually found a substantial foothold moments before the momentum carried me out of control. I remained at this location and guided my other 2 companions off the mountain, and then lowered the backpacks to the tailless slope below. We were soon back to our vehicle and heading down the mountain. We all agreed that we had been unable to solve the riddle of Batcave, but we all had a memorable experience. Let me caution the reader that ascending into Batcave requires some experience in rock climbing, but descending from Batcave requires even more experience. I would recommend this climb for anybody capable of it. It is truly an experience to be remembered. The end. Up next is Part 4, Chapter 3, Caballo Cave.